We all know how much he loved his dad and how close they were. His dad was a hard man. His dad, raised him to be a man's man.
And no way I'm gonna come here without my father. It was first time.
This man has changed the UFC forever. In this video, I will show you how. Born on December 10th, 1962 in the rugged mountains of Dagestan, Abdulmanap was no ordinary man. He was a force of nature, a titan in the world of MMA. From a young age, Abdulmanap showed a natural talent for combat sports, earning accolades in judo and sambo. Apart from his physical prowess, he had a mind for strategy, a knack for understanding the ebb and flow of a fight. After his competitive career, Abdulmanap turned his attention to coaching. He saw potential in the young fighters of Dagestan and believed that with the right training, they could become world champions. And so, he set up a gym in his own backyard, training fighters in the harsh conditions of the Dagestani mountains. Some might call it tough love, but for Abdulmanap, it was simply the Nurmagomedov way. And this is where his unique training methods come into play. He believed in training the mind as much as the body, instilling in his fighters a sense of discipline and mental toughness that was second to none. Abdulmanap's training regimen was as tough as it gets. We're talking hill runs that would make a mountain goat pant, in river swims that would have a polar bear saying, "Nope, too cold for me," and you thought your ex was high maintenance. Interestingly, Abdulmanap was also known for his sense of humor, often cracking jokes to lighten the mood during intense training sessions. And this philosophy was the real secret sauce behind the success of the fighters he trained. Among those, none is more prominent than his own son, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Known as the Eagle, Khabib is considered one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. Under Abdulmanap's tutelage, Khabib developed a fighting style that was both relentless and strategic, much like a chess game. From Conor McGregor to Dustin Poirier and Rafael dos Anjos, Khabib has faced and defeated some of the biggest names in the sport. And if that's not enough, he's also a champion in combat sambo, showcasing his versatile fighting skills. Khabib had an unwavering discipline and respect for the sport, traits he inherited from his father. Islam Makhachev is another one of Abdulmanap's students. Hailing from the same village as Khabib, Islam was like a second son to Abdulmanap. Under Abdulmanap's guidance, Islam developed into a formidable fighter, known for his grappling skills and tactical acumen. Abdulmanap saw in Islam the same potential he saw in Khabib, and he was not wrong. Today, Islam is considered one of the top contenders in the UFC lightweight division. With 25 wins and just one loss, he's a force to be reckoned with in the octagon. Makhachev's achievements include a combat sambo world championship in 2016 and a two-time Russian national championship at 74 kilos. Back in 2023, he was number 1 in the UFC men's pound-for-pound rankings. Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's younger cousin, was another fighter who benefited greatly from Abdulmanap's coaching. Despite being relatively new to the UFC, Umar has shown immense potential with a string of impressive victories under his belt. Abdulmanap's influence on Umar is evident in his fighting style, which mirrors the discipline and strategy that Abdulmanap instilled in his fighters. More big names like Sultan Aliyev, Magomed Rasul Kasbulaev, Shamil Zavarov, and Abubakar Nurmagomedov were also trained by Abdulmanap. So his influence on all these fighters was profound. He instilled in them a strong work ethic, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. His training methods were rigorous, but they forged champions. Abdulmanap was not just a coach, but a mentor and a father figure to many of his students. But then, the unexpected happened. Abdulmanap was admitted to the hospital and suddenly deceased. In July 2020, the world of MMA was shaken to its core. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, the man who had changed the face of UFC, passed away at the age of 57. It was reported that Abdulmanap had been hospitalized in April 2020 due to complications from the COVID virus, which exacerbated an existing heart condition. Despite being transported to Moscow for treatment, his condition rapidly worsened, and he succumbed to the complications. The news sent shockwaves through the UFC community. Fighters, coaches, and fans alike mourned the loss of a true legend. Khabib was devastated. He had lost not just a father, but his mentor and coach. Other fighters like Islam Makhachev and Umar Nurmagomedov also felt the loss deeply.
You know, it was 3rd July 2020, 2 years ago. Father is not with me. You know, it's very hard time right now staying here and talk about him. You know, it's very emotional for me. But
they had lost a coach who had believed in them, who had pushed them to their limits, and who had made them the fighters they were. The loss of Abdulmanap was a turning point for many fighters. Some might say it was the end of an era, but was it really the end? Did Abdulmanap's legacy end with his death, or did it ignite a new flame in the hearts of those he left behind? Let's find out the future of the fighters Abdulmanap trained. After his father's passing, Khabib has since transitioned into a full-time coach and cornerman. He has been seen guiding his teammates and friends in their fights, including Islam Makhachev and Umar Nurmagomedov. This transition showcases his commitment to nurturing the next generation of fighters and carrying forward his father's legacy. In addition to coaching, Khabib has also ventured into the business side of MMA. He purchased the Russian MMA promotion Guerrilla Fighting Championship for $1 million and renamed it to the Eagle Fighting Championship, a nod to his nickname as a fighter. Again, this move allowed him to provide a platform for upcoming fighters and contribute to the growth of MMA, just like his father did. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov has become a name that echoes in the halls of UFC history, a man who created champions that took the UFC by storm. His legacy lives on in the fighters he trained, the champions he created, and the future stars who continue to uphold his teachings. We can't help but wonder what the future holds for these fighters. Will they rise to the occasion and become the next generation of champions? Or will they carve their own path in the world of UFC? As fans and experts alike continue to sing their praises, it's clear that their stars are only going to shine brighter for years to come.